Hey everyone. In the world of negotiation, it's not just about what you bring to the table, it's also about knowing what the other side might throw your way. Some skilled negotiators use a variety of tactics to gain the upper hand, and if you're not prepared, you could fall right into their trap. From the sneaky foot-in-the-door tactic to the misleading multiple equivalent offers, there are 20 key tactics that could be used against you. In this video, we'll cover them all, showing you how to stay one step ahead and highlighting the warnings you need to be aware of at the negotiation table. Before we dive in, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. Get ready to protect yourself at the negotiation table. Let's dive in. 1. The foot-in-the-door tactic. One party initially begin with a small request to secure agreement, then set off a chain of actions that make it difficult to turn back. Finally, follow up with a more substantial request. Warning: be cautious of seemingly minor agreements that could lead to bigger concessions later on. Always consider the long-term implications of your early commitments. 2. Anchoring tactic. The other side sets the tone by making the first offer, often a very high or very low offer, to anchor the negotiation around their terms. This initial offer serves as a psychological anchor, influencing the rest of the negotiation and shaping the perception of what is reasonable. This can skew your perception of value and make you feel pressured to move closer to their position. Warning: be mindful of this technique, and come prepared with your own data or benchmarks to counteract the initial anchor. 3. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement tactic. This is referring to the course of action you can take if the current negotiation fails. Knowing your best alternative to a negotiated agreement allows you to negotiate with more confidence because you have a clear idea of what your alternatives are if you don't reach a deal. Warning: the other party may try to downplay your best alternative to a negotiated agreement or overstate their own to pressure you into accepting their terms. They might attempt to make you feel as though you have no good alternatives or that their offer is your best option. Before entering the negotiation, be sure to carefully evaluate your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, and don't let them undermine your confidence by manipulating your perception of alternatives. Having a strong best alternative to a negotiated agreement means you can walk away from the negotiation if the terms don't meet your needs, giving you leverage and reducing the other party's ability to exploit your position. 4. The bracketing tactic. One party sets a range, or brackets, for acceptable outcomes. The idea is to establish a high and low boundary to influence where the final agreement will fall. By doing this, they aim to narrow the discussion and subtly guide the other party toward the middle ground within their desired range. Warning: the other side may use the bracketing tactic by proposing a range that seems reasonable but is skewed to favor their interests. They may say something like,
"We're thinking somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000.
knowing that their actual target is $55,000, which is still advantageous to them. If you accept their bracket without question, you might end up compromising more than you intended. Be cautious of letting their range frame the negotiation. Set your own brackets beforehand and don't be afraid to challenge theirs or propose your own. This will help you keep control of the negotiation's direction. 5. The deadlines tactic. This tactic involves creating or emphasizing a sense of urgency by imposing a time limit for reaching an agreement. The goal is to pressure the other party into making quicker decisions, potentially leading to rushed or unfavorable terms. These deadlines can be real or artificial, but they are designed to limit the time you have to negotiate and evaluate options. Warning: the other side may use the deadlines tactic to pressure you into making hasty concessions by imposing a time limit, such as,
This offer is only available until the end of the day.
This creates a sense of urgency and fear of losing the deal, which can cloud your judgment. Be wary of deadlines, especially if they seem arbitrary. Take the time you need to evaluate the offer, and don't let the pressure of time force you into an unfavorable agreement. If necessary, challenge the deadline or ask for more time to ensure you're making a well-informed decision. 6. The reframing tactic. One party changes the way information is presented or interpreted to shift the perspective of the other party. This can involve altering the context, highlighting different aspects of the issue, or changing the language used to make an offer seem more favorable or reasonable. Warning: the other side may use the reframing tactic to alter your perception of an offer by presenting it in a different light. For example, instead of saying, "This will cost $10,000, they might reframe it as,
"This is only $833 per month,"
to make the amount seem more manageable. They could also reframe a concession as a favor, making you feel more obligated to reciprocate. Be careful not to be swayed by how something is presented. Focus on the core facts and figures rather than the framing, and don't let emotional or superficial shifts in perspective lead you to a decision that isn't in your best interest. 7. The reciprocity tactic. Reciprocity is a tactic based on the psychological principle that people feel obligated to return a favor or concession. Warning: in negotiations, the other side may give a small concession or offer something seemingly generous, then ask you to reciprocate with a larger concession, often larger than the initial offer. For example,
"If I reduce the price by 2%, would you be able to increase the quantity by 10%?
Be careful of this tactic. Don't feel pressured to give up more than is fair. Evaluate each concession on its own merits and avoid making emotional decisions based solely on the expectation of returning a favor. 8. Splitting the difference tactic. One party suggests meeting in the middle between two offers or positions. It's often presented as a fair and reasonable way to quickly resolve a negotiation. This tactic can be effective when both sides are close to an agreement but are stuck on a final point. Warning: the other side may use the splitting the difference tactic to make you feel like you're getting a fair deal, but it could still favor their interests. For example, if the seller started with an extreme initial offer of $100,000 and the buyer is asking for $80,000, splitting the difference means that they would settle at $90,000. Splitting the difference may still leave you closer to their desired outcome than yours. Before agreeing to split the difference, make sure that the midpoint is genuinely reasonable and aligns with your goals. Consider whether the initial offers were fair and whether meeting in the middle would lead to a balanced outcome. 9. The nibbling tactic. The nibbling tactic is a negotiation tactic where one party, after reaching an agreement on the main terms, requests small additional concessions or favors. These nibbles are often minor, but over time they can add up to significant advantages to the other party. Warning: after the larger deal is settled, the other party may believe you feel inclined to give in to some small requests to avoid reopening the negotiation. For example, the other side may request free delivery, extended warranties, or slight price reductions. These requests may seem minor, but they can accumulate to their advantage without you realizing the full impact. Be cautious of agreeing to additional requests after the major terms are set. Politely stand your ground on the final deal, and make it clear when the negotiation is over. If a nibble feels like it alters the deal significantly, don't hesitate to revisit the entire agreement if necessary. 10. The red herring tactic. One party focuses on minor issues to distract you from the main points you want to address, diverting your attention. The goal is to divert attention from more important matters or weaken the other side's focus, making it easier to gain concessions on the core issues. Warning: the other side may use the red herring tactic by bringing up an issue that seems significant but is actually irrelevant or less important. This can lead you to waste time and energy addressing this issue, while they subtly gain ground on the main points that matter to them. For example, they might fixate on minor contract terms to distract you from a major pricing issue. Stay focused on your key objectives and avoid getting sidetracked by less relevant points. If you suspect a red herring, recognize it, and steer the conversation back to the issues that truly matter in the negotiation. 11. The exaggerated consequences tactic. One party overstates the negative outcomes or risks if the other party does not accept their offer or proposal. The goal is to create fear, urgency, or anxiety, pressuring the other side to agree to unfavorable terms to avoid these exaggerated consequences. Warning: the other side may use the exaggerated consequences tactic by warning you of severe outcomes if you don't accept their offer, such as missing out on a critical opportunity, losing the deal entirely, or facing huge costs. These threats are often inflated or unrealistic to make you feel like you have no better option. Stay calm and analyze the situation critically. Assess whether the consequences they're describing are truly as severe as they claim. Identify your alternatives if the negotiation fails, and don't let the fear of exaggerated threats push you into making a decision that doesn't align with your best interests. 12. The divide and conquer tactic. One party tries to create divisions or disagreements within the opposing team, weakening their unity and bargaining power. By isolating individuals or factions, they can manipulate the negotiation process to gain favorable terms, as the divided group may struggle to maintain a strong, cohesive position. Warning: the other side may use the divide and conquer tactic by attempting to pit members of your negotiation team against each other, exploiting differences in opinions or priorities. For example, they might offer certain concessions to one person or group while excluding others, or they might encourage disagreements over specific issues to weaken your team's collective stance. To guard against this, ensure that your team has a unified strategy and clear communication before entering negotiations. If internal differences arise, handle them privately to prevent the other side from exploiting them. 13. The bait and switch tactic. This tactic is a deceptive tactic where one party initially offers an attractive proposal, the bait, to draw the other party in. Once the other party is committed or interested, the offering party changes the deal, the switch, to something less favorable, hoping the other side will feel too invested to back out. Warning: the other side may use the bait and switch tactic by presenting an appealing offer that seems highly advantageous, only to later withdraw or alter it with more costly, less favorable terms. For example, they might offer an exceptionally low price or great terms to entice you, then later explain that the offer isn't available and push you toward a more expensive or less beneficial deal. To protect yourself, ensure all key terms are clearly defined and confirmed in writing before making any commitments. If the deal changes unexpectedly, be prepared to walk away or renegotiate without feeling pressured by the initial bait. Stay vigilant and don't let the appeal of an initial offer blind you to later unfavorable changes. 14. The fait accompli tactic. One party presents a decision or action as already completed or non-negotiable, giving the impression that it is a done deal. The goal is to pressure the other party into accepting the terms because they believe it's too late to change or challenge them. Warning: the other side may use the fait accompli tactic by making it seem like a certain decision has already been made or that certain terms are non-negotiable, leaving you with little room to discuss or modify the deal. For example, they might say,
"Already committed to this price with other clients,"
or
"Contract has already been finalized."
Be cautious when confronted with this tactic. Just because something is presented as final doesn't mean you can't challenge it or renegotiate. Politely push back and ask for clarification or flexibility if the terms don't work for you. Often, these final decisions can still be negotiated if you remain firm and assert your needs. 15. The bogey tactic. One party pretends that a particular issue or item is very important to them, even though it isn't. They emphasize this bogey issue to divert attention from what really matters or to use it as leverage for concessions on more significant issues. Once the other side makes a concession on the bogey, they downplay its importance in exchange for something they truly want. Warning: the other side may use the bogey tactic by making a big deal out of a relatively unimportant issue, such as a specific deadline, minor term, or small feature, making you believe they're making a significant sacrifice when they give in on that point. In return, they'll seek more substantial concessions from you on something that's actually critical to them. To counter this, stay focused on what truly matters in the negotiation. Don't rush to make concessions on issues they highlight without first understanding the bigger picture. Ask probing questions to gauge the real importance of the issues and avoid overvaluing their concessions on trivial matters. 16. The higher authority tactic. One party claims they need to get approval from a superior or another decision-maker before finalizing the deal. This tactic allows them to delay decisions, backtrack on commitments, or extract additional concessions by implying that their hands are tied. Warning: the other side may use the higher authority tactic by saying,
"I need to run this by my boss,"
or
"I don't have the final say on this,"
even after progress seems to have been made. This can create uncertainty, as they may return with new conditions, stall the negotiation, or use the authority figure as an excuse to reject your terms. To counter this, ask up front if they have the authority to make decisions. If not, insist on speaking with the decision-maker directly or request that all final agreements include input from the higher authority. If they still rely on this tactic, hold firm and avoid giving unnecessary concessions simply to accommodate delays or indirect negotiation tactics. 17. The bundling tactic. One party groups several items, terms, or issues together into a single package to make the deal seem more attractive. This approach can be used to combine desirable and less desirable elements, making it harder for the other party to negotiate individual terms. It's often framed as a take-it-or-leave-it deal, pushing the other side to accept the entire package instead of haggling over each item. Warning: the other side may use the bundling tactic by offering multiple items or terms together and presenting it as an all-or-nothing package. This could include combining favorable terms, such as a discount, with less favorable ones, like stricter contract terms, making it difficult for you to negotiate on each point individually. They may also bundle high-value and low-value items to make the offer seem more comprehensive than it is. To counter this tactic, break down the bundle and evaluate each element separately. Don't be afraid to negotiate individual components of the deal or suggest alternative bundling that suits your needs. If the other side insists on the bundle, weigh the total value to ensure it aligns with your overall goals before accepting. 18. The controlled disclosure tactic. One party selectively reveals only certain pieces of information to guide the negotiation in their favor. Instead of sharing all relevant details, they release information in a controlled manner, disclosing what benefits them while withholding or delaying less favorable information. This allows them to manage the flow of the negotiation and influence the other party's decision-making. Warning: the other side may use the controlled disclosure tactic by gradually releasing information that steers you toward accepting their terms. For instance, they might provide data that makes their offer seem more appealing while omitting details that would raise concerns. They may also withhold key facts until the last moment, forcing you to make a decision without full context. To counter this, ask for full transparency early in the negotiation. Request all relevant information up front and verify critical details independently. Be cautious if the other party seems to be withholding details or if new information suddenly emerges late in the process. Maintain skepticism and push for clarity before making any final decisions. 19. The value proposition expansion tactic. This is a negotiation tactic where one party increases the perceived value of their offer by adding additional benefits, features, or services. This is done to make the deal seem more attractive without necessarily changing the core terms, often to justify a higher price or more favorable conditions for themselves. The goal is to shift the focus from the cost to the added value, making it harder for the other side to resist the offer. Warning: the other side may use the value proposition expansion tactic by offering extra features or services that sound appealing but may not be relevant or truly valuable to you. For example, they might include unnecessary add-ons or upgrades, hoping you'll focus on the expanded offer and accept higher costs or less favorable terms without questioning their real benefit. To counter this, evaluate the additional items carefully and assess whether they truly add value to your needs. Don't get distracted by flashy extras that don't serve your primary goals. Focus on the core terms of the deal, and make sure the added value justifies any additional cost or concession on your part. If the extras aren't valuable to you, negotiate to remove them or insist on better terms. 20. The multiple equivalent offers tactic. One party presents several different offers that are equally favorable to them but vary in terms of specifics. The goal is to give the other party a sense of control by allowing them to choose between options, while ensuring that whichever option is chosen, the presenting party is satisfied with the outcome. This tactic can also reveal the preferences or priorities of the other party, offering insights for further negotiation. Warning: the other side may use the multiple equivalent offers tactic by giving you several choices, all of which serve their interests equally. They might present choices like different payment structures, contract lengths, or combinations of benefits, hoping you'll feel empowered by making a choice while they still get what they want. To counter this tactic, carefully analyze each option and consider which one aligns best with your goals. Don't feel pressured to choose one of their offers if none fully meet your needs. Use this as an opportunity to counteroffer or suggest modifications. Additionally, look for any hidden costs or unfavorable terms buried in the different offers, and ensure that the choice you make is genuinely in your best interest.